the aspiration for expansion. In the shadowed halls of Guerillist, the most formidable nation among the seven, a silent race of arms had begun. The leaders of this evolved civilization, much like their human predecessors, harbored ambitions of territorial expansion. Despite their advancements in culture, knowledge, and governance, the primal instincts that once drove their ancestors had not been fully extinguished. The thought of expanding their dominion kindled a pursuit marked by the clandestine buildup of modern weaponry, a pursuit both calculated and restrained, shaped by centuries of evolution and the wisdom gleaned from ancient texts. Unlike their human predecessors, however, the creatures of this world had developed a nuanced understanding of power. They were acutely aware of the dangers posed by unchecked ambition and the catastrophic consequences that could arise from the reckless use of advanced technology. Thus, while they meticulously assembled a robust army equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry, they exhibited a peculiar restraint, a reluctance to employ these modern armaments. Instead, they stockpiled these weapons, preserving them for an uncertain future, guided by a cautious approach that mirrored their ancestral instincts. The quintessential tools of their ancestors, the axe and the machete, remained their favorite instruments. These weapons, deeply rooted in their history and culture, were symbols of their strength, self-reliance, and connection to the natural world. They were not merely tools of war, but extensions of their physical prowess, honed over generations to perfection. Even as they developed sophisticated firearms and military technology, they continued to favor the reliability and effectiveness of these ancient weapons, using them both in battle and as symbols of their identity. The decision to wield these modern arms rested not with the whims of the leaders, but within the purview of the high court judges, a triumvirate entrusted with the weighty responsibility of determining the activation of these weapons. Appointed by the president, these judges served a tenure of 5 years, their positions insulated from political interference, ensuring the integrity of their decisions. The intricate mechanics of their governance dictated that only when 2 of the 3 judges reached a consensus could the order for deploying modern armaments be activated. This arrangement underscored the deliberative nature of their decision-making process, elevating the judgment beyond individual influences or partisan leanings. Remarkably, the power to alter the tenure or dismiss the judges did not rest with the president, thereby safeguarding the independence and sanctity of their role. This separation of powers ensured a balance, preventing the concentration of authority in any single entity's hands. The judges, selected for their wisdom, impartiality, and deep understanding of the consequences of war, were the ultimate arbiters of life and death in a world where the stakes had never been higher. Thus, amidst the covert accumulation of modern armaments, a delicate balance between readiness and restraint persisted, a testament to their cautious approach to wielding the advancements bestowed upon them by their evolution. The governance structure, built upon checks and balances, safeguarded against impulsive decisions that could tip the scales of peace and stability. This intricate dance of power and restraint, ambition and caution, defined the political landscape of their world, shaping the course of events in ways both seen and unseen. The mighty nation of Guerillist. Guerillist, the most formidable nation among the 7, boasted a staggering army of 400,000 soldiers. These soldiers, a blend of brawn and intelligence, were trained in the art of both ancient and modern warfare. The nation possessed a vast arsenal of advanced weaponry, including firearms, cannons, and explosives, meticulously crafted using the knowledge gleaned from the ancient texts. Yet, despite their military might, the Guerrillians maintained a sense of caution, mindful of the destructive potential of these weapons. The Guerrillian military was divided into specialized units, each trained in different aspects of warfare. The elite units, known as the Vanguard, were equipped with the most advanced weapons and armor, ready to be deployed in the event of a full-scale conflict. These soldiers were the best of the best, chosen for their strength, intelligence, and loyalty to the nation. They were trained in the use of firearms, explosives, and other modern technologies, but they were equally skilled in the use of the axe and machete, reflecting the Guerrillians' reverence for their ancestral weapons. In contrast, the Guardians of the Wild, another elite unit, were tasked with defending the borders of Guerillist using traditional weapons and guerrilla tactics. These soldiers, experts in survival and hand-to-hand combat, were trained to navigate the dense forests and mountainous terrain that surrounded their nation. They used their knowledge of the land to their advantage, setting traps, ambushing enemies, and using the environment as a weapon. Their preference for the axe and machete made them formidable opponents, capable of taking down enemies with precision and speed. Guerrillists' military might was complemented by its strategic alliances and covert operations. The nation had formed a covert pact with Leopardia, a neighboring nation ruled by the graceful and elusive leopards. Despite their outwardly cooperative relationship, suspicions lingered beneath the surface, with each side harboring its own agenda. For Leopardia, aligning with Guerillist offered a semblance of protection against external threats, while Guerillist gained a valuable ally in its quest for regional dominance. The two nations shared intelligence, conducted joint military exercises, and coordinated their efforts in the face of common threats. However, Guerillist's territorial ambitions did not go unnoticed. In response to Guerillist's expansionist aspirations, an alliance was forged between Tajera and Leonias, two powerful nations that had once been bitter rivals. This alliance represented a formidable force, combining the military prowess of two proud nations. Tajera, known for its engineering and technological advancements, brought to the table a wealth of knowledge and resources that complemented Leonias' strength and strategic acumen. Together, they stood as a bulwark against Guerillist's expansionist ambitions, determined to uphold their sovereignty and protect their territories from encroachment. Tajera and Leonias, recognizing the threat posed by Guerillist, set aside their differences to confront the looming danger. Their alliance was built on mutual respect and shared interests, with both nations understanding that their survival depended on their ability to work together. They conducted joint military drills, shared intelligence, and developed contingency plans to counter any potential aggression from Guerillist. Their combined forces, though smaller in number compared to Guerillist's army, were highly trained and well-equipped, capable of mounting a formidable defense against any invasion. Despite their differences, the nations of Tajera and Leonias shared a common goal: to prevent Guerillist from achieving regional hegemony. Their alliance, though born out of necessity, evolved into a partnership that extended beyond the military realm. The two nations collaborated on various fronts, including trade, infrastructure development, and cultural exchange. Their alliance became a symbol of unity and strength, a testament to what could be achieved when former enemies came together for a common cause. The role of neutral nations. While the major powers of Guerillist, Tajera, Leonias, and Leopardia engaged in a complex web of alliances and rivalries, three other nations found themselves caught in the crossfire of geopolitical tensions: Birais, Wolfia, and Hyaenia. These nations, though smaller and less powerful, played a crucial role in the delicate balance of power that defined the region. As neutral parties, they walked a precarious tightrope, seeking to balance their own interests while avoiding entanglement in the power struggles between the major factions. Birais, with its rich natural resources and strategic location, was a coveted prize for any aspiring hegemon. The Berisians, known for their engineering prowess and environmental stewardship, were wary of becoming pawns in a larger geopolitical game. They had managed to maintain their neutrality by carefully balancing their relationships with the major powers, engaging in trade and diplomacy without aligning themselves too closely with any one faction. Birais was a nation that valued its independence and autonomy, preferring to chart its own course rather than being drawn into the conflicts of others. Despite its neutrality, Birais was not without its own challenges. The nation's rich natural resources, including timber, minerals, and freshwater, made it an attractive target for neighboring powers. To protect their interests, the Berisians had invested heavily in defense, building a network of fortifications along their borders and training a well-equipped militia capable of repelling any potential invaders. They also engaged in diplomacy, forging agreements with neighboring nations to ensure their security and stability. Wolfia, though smaller in size, possessed its own unique strengths and vulnerabilities. The Wolfians, known for their strategic minds and military precision, were skilled in the art of warfare. They had developed a highly disciplined and well-organized military, capable of defending their territory against any threat. However, Wolfia's small size and limited resources made it difficult for the nation to sustain prolonged conflicts. As a result, the Wolfians focused on diplomacy and intelligence gathering, using their knowledge of the geopolitical landscape to navigate the complexities of regional politics. Hyaenia, governed by the cunning and resourceful hyenas, was a nation that thrived on trade and commerce. The Hyaenian merchants were known for their shrewdness and ability to strike profitable deals, making Hyaenia a hub of economic activity in the region. Despite their focus on trade, the Hyaenians were not without their own military capabilities. They maintained a small but effective navy, capable of protecting their shipping lanes and deterring potential aggressors. Hyaenia's strategic location along major trade routes gave it leverage in regional politics, allowing the nation to influence the balance of power without directly engaging in conflicts. The leaders of Birais, Wolfia, and Hyaenia understood the importance of maintaining their neutrality in a region dominated by larger powers. They engaged in diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange, seeking to build relationships that would protect their interests and ensure their survival. However, they were also acutely aware of the looming threat posed by guerrillists' expansionist ambitions. The specter of guerrillists' dominance cast a shadow over their future prospects, forcing them to consider the possibility of aligning with one of the major factions if their neutrality was threatened. The struggle for dominance. As tensions escalated and alliances shifted, the fate of the continent hung in the balance. The intricate dance of power politics played out on the world stage, with each nation maneuvering to protect its interests and achieve its goals. The struggle for dominance was far from over, and the stakes could not have been higher. With each passing day, new challenges and obstacles emerged, testing the resolve and resilience of all those caught in its grip. For guerrillists, the path to regional hegemony was fraught with challenges. The nation's leaders, though confident in their military might, were mindful of the consequences of overreach. The alliances formed by Tagera and Leonias, coupled with the covert pact with Leopardia, created a complex web of relationships that required careful navigation. Guerrillists' leaders understood that any move toward expansion would be met with resistance, and they carefully weighed their options, seeking to avoid a full-scale conflict that could destabilize the region. Tagera and Leonias, meanwhile, continued to strengthen their alliance, preparing for the possibility of war. They conducted joint military exercises, tested new weapons and tactics, and fortified their borders. The leaders of both nations were acutely aware of the threat posed by guerrillists, and they were determined to stand united in the face of aggression. However, they also recognized the importance of diplomacy and sought to resolve conflicts through negotiation whenever possible. Leopardia, for its part, maintained its delicate balance between cooperation and suspicion with guerrillists. The nation's leaders were pragmatic, understanding that their alliance with guerrillists offered protection, but also recognizing the risks involved in aligning with such a powerful and ambitious neighbor. Leopardia's leaders engaged in a careful dance of diplomacy, seeking to extract as much benefit as possible from the alliance while avoiding being drawn into conflicts that could threaten their sovereignty. Birais, Wolfia, and Hyaenia, though officially neutral, could not escape the influence of the major powers. They found themselves caught in the crossfire of geopolitical rivalries, forced to navigate the complexities of regional politics while protecting their own interests. The leaders of these nations engaged in diplomacy, trade, and intelligence gathering, seeking to build alliances and relationships that would ensure their survival in a rapidly changing world. The struggle for dominance in this evolved civilization was a complex and multifaceted conflict, with each nation pursuing its own goals and strategies. The balance of power was constantly shifting, with alliances forming and dissolving, new threats emerging, and old rivalries resurfacing. The leaders of these nations were engaged in a high-stakes game of brinkmanship, where the slightest misstep could lead to disaster. The role of the High Court judges. Amidst the swirling currents of conflict and intrigue, the High Court judges played a crucial role in maintaining the delicate balance of power. These judges, appointed by the president but insulated from political interference, held the authority to decide when and if modern armaments could be deployed. Their role was not only to interpret the law, but also to weigh the moral and ethical implications of their decisions. The judges were chosen for their wisdom, impartiality, and deep understanding of the consequences of war. They were respected figures in society, entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that the use of advanced weaponry was justified and necessary. Their decisions were not taken lightly, and they were expected to consider the long-term impact of their actions on both their nation and the region as a whole. The process by which the judges reached a decision was rigorous and deliberative. When a request for the deployment of modern armaments was brought before them, the judges would convene to review the evidence, hear arguments from all sides, and engage in lengthy discussions. They would consider not only the immediate threat, but also the potential consequences of their decision on the stability of the region and the lives of the citizens. The requirement that 2 of the 3 judges reach a consensus before any action could be taken was a safeguard against impulsive or reckless decisions. It ensured that any decision to use modern armaments was made with careful consideration and broad support. The judges were expected to act in the best interest of the nation and the region, setting aside personal biases and political pressures. The judges' independence was further protected by the fact that their tenure could not be altered or terminated by the president. This separation of powers was a key feature of the governance structure, ensuring that the judges could make decisions free from external influence. The judges were answerable only to the law and to their conscience, and they were expected to uphold the highest standards of integrity and impartiality. The future uncertain. As the nations of Gorilist, Tagera, Leonias, Leopardia, Birais, Wolfia, and Hyaenia continued to navigate the complexities of regional politics, the future remained uncertain. The balance of power was fragile, and the potential for conflict loomed large. The decisions made by the leaders and the high court judges would shape the course of events in the years to come, determining whether the region would move toward peace and stability or descend into chaos and war. The struggle for dominance was far from over, and the stakes could not have been higher. The fate of nations hung in the balance, with each decision, each alliance, and each act of diplomacy carrying the potential to alter the course of history. The leaders of this evolved civilization were engaged in a high-stakes game of brinkmanship, where the future of their world depended on their ability to navigate the complex and ever-changing landscape of power politics. But amidst the swirling currents of conflict and intrigue, one thing remained clear: the struggle for dominance was a testament to the indomitable spirit of evolution and the resilience of life itself. The creatures of this world, having inherited the wisdom and knowledge of their human predecessors, had built a civilization that was both powerful and fragile, shaped by the lessons of the past and the challenges of the present. As they looked to the future, the leaders and citizens of this evolved civilization knew that the path ahead would not be easy. They would need to rely on their strength, their wisdom, and their ability to adapt in order to survive and thrive in a world where the balance of power was constantly shifting. The struggle for dominance would continue, with new challenges and obstacles emerging at every turn, testing the resolve and resilience of all those caught in its grip. And in this high-stakes game of brinkmanship, where the fate of nations hung in the balance, the creatures of this evolved civilization would need to draw on all their resources, both physical and intellectual, to navigate the complexities of their world and secure a future for themselves and their descendants. The struggle for dominance was far from over, but in the end, it would be a testament to the enduring power of life and the unyielding drive to survive and thrive in an ever-changing world.